everybody, we're back. This is JC with FMR Therapy, and we're talking about lateral epicondylitis today, also known as tennis elbow. So if you work with your hands a lot, you might end up with some tennis elbow. You don't have to play tennis for this, right? What we're talking about is pain right there. It gets super hot, starts to be uncomfortable when you're using your hands and whatnot. This can happen to people like myself, therapists, musicians, mechanics, electricians, people that work with their hands. These are our tools, people. So this other side of what does this action for our hands is what can get real hot. So lateral epicondylitis, let's get started. Daily, you want to warm up for your work, whatever work that is. Daily, you're going to warm up. So we're just going to put our arms straight out like so, and we're just going to warm up. Start with just your fingers kind of pointed, and we're going to go down, come back to neutral, come up, come back to neutral. And we're going to get like 20 or 30 of those daily, right? If that's way too much stress on this and just creating too much pain, try bending, right? You're just going to bend at the elbow, see if that makes it feel just a little bit better, a little less stressed out. 20 to 30 of those, we're just warming up for the work that we have to do if you can't take the recommended recovery time off. Then we're going to get into an extensor stretch. So after we have done this, right, now I'm going to go into that same position that I was in, and then I'm going to take my other hand and I'm just going to overstretch that. Now for me, in order for me to actually get a good stretch, you guys, I have to go a little bit medial like that. I get into that position, I turn my arm, and then I pull into an overstretch. Then I can actually feel that stretch happening up here. Some of you may have to have a closed wrist, and also coming in, some of you may even have to hook grip. Put your thumb in your fist, come into that position, roll in, and then really start just kind of pulling on that to really get a good stretch in there, okay? Either way, we want to be stretching this away. You can also come up into a flexor stretch where you're just kind of pulling on the hand, pulling on the fingers, getting into a flexor stretch. Spend 30 to 45 seconds, 3 different times stretching. So I could spend 30 seconds here, go over to this hand, spend 30 seconds, and come back. Even if you only have elbow pain on one side, do both arms, okay? At work, you want to cuff that bad boy, right? Especially if you're hot. If you're acute, you've got to support that. I don't have a cuff, I apologize, but they're everywhere. CVS, Walgreens, whatever. Go into the pharmacy and get that little, it's just a circular strap, basically, that will go around the arm. It'll have little Velcro straps, and you just compress like that. There's instructions in the box of how to do this. You'll notice I'm not up on the elbow. I'm not up where that pain usually is. I'm actually below that, sort of on the really high forearm, and that's where you're going to compress and help you to, be supported in those tendons while you're at work using your hand. Rehab, right? So every week we want to be spending some time trying to rehab this. 3 days a week minimum. The first week, let's just start with isometric holds. So you would take a dumbbell or something heavy. You could get like a can of beans or something like that. Not even heavy, but just something, right, that you can hold in your hand. You're going to put your arm on the edge of a table like this, and then you're just going to hold, right? I'm just holding that wrist in a straight position, and I'm going to do this for 30 to 45 seconds. Rotate to the other arm, do it on the other arm for 30 to 45 seconds, come back, do it again, do this for 3 to 4 sets. Let's say I start with 5 pounds and I can tell that, I can do a little more. I'm not super, super uncomfortable. Then maybe jump up to like 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, something like that. But we're going to repeat this for 3 different days out of a week, 30-second to 45-second hold, do it on the other side, just holding that position. Let's say you don't have a dumbbell of any kind or any weight or whatever, but you do have a resistance band around. You can do the same thing where you're holding the resistance band, and then you're just going to step on the resistance band. However tight I make this band is going to decide how much resistance I'm getting, right? It doesn't really matter what my resistance band is shaped like. I can do this with something that's just a strap and just kind of hold on to the strap on one end, get that into something that I can really just create some stress right here. Okay, the next one. So that's something I could do for a whole entire week to just really get this ready. Then the next week, for 3 different days out of that next week, now I'm going to start working on some eccentric load of this extensor. So same setup, same position, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly and controlled, I'm going to start dropping that wrist down, right? So I start at this neutral position, and then slowly and controlled, I get into flexion. Come back up to neutral, slowly and controlled, going into flexion for 20 or 30 reps. Let's say that going from neutral to flexion is fine, but the second I try to come back up into this neutral position, I'm like, you can actually assist yourself back up, okay? Just get into that neutral position, go here, assist yourself back up. We're gonna do that for 3 days this second week. Remember to do it on both hands, okay? You can also, as you're doing it, let's say day 1, everything goes well. Day 2, add weight, right? Or add resistance on your resistance band. Just make it just a little bit tougher, but we're still just going into that eccentric load. You can also, if you feel comfortable enough, start in this wrist flexion position, give yourself something to hold on to, and then go all the way into extension, right? Take that out, go up into that wrist extension position, come into a grip onto something, and then go down into that extension. That is another option if you feel like, okay, I'm doing pretty good at this wrist extension thing. Let me ramp this up a notch. For the 3rd week, right, this last and final week that we're being careful with our arm and trying to get out of this hot position here, we're gonna now just start doing range of motion, right? So 20 to 30 reps, same thing here, where we're starting in neutral. Now I'm going to drop down into that wrist flexion, and now I'm going to come all the way up into wrist extension. So I'm going back and forth, wrist flexion to wrist extension. We can also turn this and do a hammer curl for wrist extension and, well, this is deviation, really, right? So I just call this fishing. So I'm getting this action, I'm turning my forearm, and I'm getting this action. Let's get like 15 reps here. Let's turn and get like 15 reps there. 10 to 15, something that we feel comfortable doing. Start with a lighter weight, because anytime you change the movement, we're going to reduce the weight a little bit. Start with a lighter weight, and then the next day that you repeat this, see if you can do a heavier weight. The next day repeat this, see if you can do a heavier weight. Increasing reps is not going to help me as much as increasing weight is going to help me in this particular thing. If increasing weight makes it hurt again, decrease in weight, regress, go back. You can even go back to the week prior. Nightly, what am I going to do for just nightly pain? I've been at work all day. I worked my cuff. I did my warm up. Maybe it was even a rehab day, so now I'm really lit up, just kind of on fire, right? If you have like a little TENS unit, boom, I would suggest you just flushing out those that area with a TENS unit. Put that on for 20 or 30 minutes. Compex would work. Mark Pro would work quite well. And hydrotherapy, so hot-cold treatment, rotating between hot and cold, hot and cold. You could do this with like a hot pack and an ice pack. I make a video about hydrotherapy and how to do this in buckets with hot water and ice water. That video coming up next. Check that out. That would be your nightly care. Get after it, you guys. Let's get on top of this lateral elbow pain. You don't have to live with it. It gets brutal if you completely leave it alone. Take care of those tools. We'll see you in the next video.